Netflix thought it was buying a crown jewel. In 2020, the streamer shelled out a reported $100 million for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, betting that global curiosity would translate into binge-worthy gold. Ted Sarandos even gushed that Meghan was a rock star, the kind of cultural magnet who could pull in viewers from Kuala Lumpur to Kansas. But beneath the red carpet handshake, a fuse was already sizzling. The flagship project with Love Meghan was pitched as a chic melange of cooking demos, backyard gardening, and empowerment vignettes. The feel-good reset we all need. Meghan secured near total creative control, final cut privileges, sign-off on guest talent, even approval of thumbnail art. For a platform famous for re-editing directors, that kind of autonomy was unheard of. Friends called it a dream deal. Skeptics called it a roll of very expensive dice. The first cracks appeared long before the premiere. 3 earlier Sussex productions, Heart of Invictus, The Polo Doc, and Meghan's own podcast, had landed with more thud than thunder. Inside Los Gatos headquarters, senior staff quietly swapped Slack messages about diminishing returns. When Australian outlet news.com.au reported executives were already worried by scathing early reviews, morale dipped further. Still, the company pushed ahead, trusting that a glossy lifestyle format could cleanse the palate. Then came the focus groups, the moment the fuse hit gunpowder. Private screenings held in LA and London ended with participants labeling Episode 8's finale unwatchable and Meghan's on-camera persona fake. One attendee bluntly wrote, "I feel like I'm being sold something that doesn't exist." That single word, fake, ricocheted through internal reports and lit up alarm bells on the 47th floor boardroom dashboard. Greg Peters, freshly promoted co-CEO, summoned an emergency evening session. According to multiple insider commentators, the call stretched past midnight as legal, PR, and content chiefs weighed the fallout. The verdict was brutal. Meghan's creative sign-offs were revoked with immediate effect. No more rewrites, no more vetoes. On paper, she remained the star, but in practice, she had been benched. Money was next on the chopping block. A reshoot fund, earmarked to polish Episode 8 and salvage continuity, was gutted by roughly $7 million, forcing directors to cut scenes rather than refine them. Finance execs quietly relabeled the show cost containment priority. Crew members who championed the original vision asked for transfers. Editors were told to triage, not perfect. What began as prestige content had morphed into a salvage operation. Word of the creative coup landed in Montecito like a thunderclap. Sources close to the production described Meghan's reaction as a mix of shock and fury. Tears in one breath, accusatory phone calls the next. Her team floated the idea that unnamed executives sabotaged the edit, seeding sympathetic PR pieces and hinting at misogyny behind the backlash. Yet the narrative failed to catch. Netflix's data, cold and unsentimental, showed dwindling test interest and soaring negative sentiment each time Meghan's name trended. Internally, the streamer embarked on a quiet rebrand. Marketing decks scrubbed references to a second season. Legal memos advised dropping any renewal language to avoid misleading viewers or regulators. The Guardian later reported that, with love, Meghan might well be the Sussexes' last hurrah on Netflix, a far cry from the sprawling franchise originally imagined. New poster mock-ups shrank Meghan's face, pushing vibrant food photography to the foreground. If viewers tuned out, at least they'd blame bland bruschetta, not a royal. Yet the saga took another dizzying twist when British tabloids and GB News claimed Netflix was quietly negotiating a solo extension, Meghan without Harry, arguing that controversy, however toxic, still draws clicks. One source insisted Ted Sarandos remained all-in skeptics, countered that the streamer simply couldn't rip up a contract midstream without triggering costly litigation, so talk of renewals was a face-saving smokescreen. Either way, the brand damage calculus had shifted. For the first time, execs weighed subscriber churn against social media storms in real time. Behind closed doors, the language grew clinical. PowerPoint spoke of containment, minimum viable delivery, and reputational firewall. Slack channels once filled with bouquet emojis, now pinged with red flag icons. A mid-level producer summed it up over lunch. We went from groundbreaking to ground zero in 6 months. Meanwhile, Meghan's allies rallied online, arguing the show was being judged more harshly because of her royal baggage and outspoken positions. When Netflix's own Ted Sarandos publicly defended her as underestimated, critics scoffed that the comment sounded less like support and more like damage control. Either way, the decision was locked. Part 2 would drop in September with zero fanfare, no premiere gala, no late-night couch circuit, not even a trending hashtag push. It would arrive the way one offloads a liability, quietly. The financial side effects rippled outward. Vendors who had banked on Season 2 commissions were left dangling. At least one celebrity chef, Jameson Stocks, claimed Netflix threatened legal action after he publicly slammed the production, accusing it of brand washing. For Hollywood service companies, the cautionary fax was clear. Invoice upfront, because royalty might not translate to royalties. As the release clock ticks, Meghan's personal brand stands at a crossroads. Friends whisper that she's preparing a pivot. More lifestyle products, fewer serialized shows, a tighter grip on Instagram optics. Yet industry veterans note the hard lesson. When you script every beat of your image, even the outtakes feel rehearsed. Audiences smell varnish before the paint dries. Netflix, for its part, is already stress-testing its next wave of celebrity vehicles, this time with clauses that cap creative autonomy. One executive joked, "We're going back to dating show chaos. At least if that implodes, the budget is 1/20th of this." And so the saga winds toward a muted climax. In September, a thumbnail will pop up. Maybe a pastel macaron, maybe a smiling duchess chopping shallots. And Part 2 will autoplay. Some subscribers will watch out of morbid curiosity. Some will scroll past, many won't notice at all. But inside Netflix HQ, the autopsy is basically finished. The final lesson, scrawled on a whiteboard no outsider will ever see, is simple. Never let the brand write the budget. Because in Hollywood, the moment the mask slips, the spiral is faster than any editor can cut, any PR team can spin, and any duchess can control. What's your take on Meghan? We'd love to hear what you think in the comments.